Hey, how's it going, my friends? Mike Walker here, Client Services Director at The Wealthy Consultant. Excited to be here with you on another episode of TWC Talks, the Wealthy Consultant Talks podcast. I've got a topic here I want to share with you today. It's going to be short and sweet, but also very foundational in terms of your trajectory in business, in life in general, but definitely in business. And it's something that I see come a lot, as I work with all our clients that come through Chamber and LaunchKit and all the other tiers of programs that we have available through our company. Something that really stands out to me is this concept that success, and as that accelerates, can actually become a downfall if you're not prepared for what success can bring. Now, we've all heard the stories of, rock stars and famous artists and whatnot getting famous. And then what do? They start blowing all their money on bad choices, essentially, right? But that's not what I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about is more the paradigms, the things, the operating software, if you will, of how you think through the different environments that you then get presented with as you, again, ascend up the ranks of success. Now, when we talk about success, that's self-defined, right? But for the sake of this episode, what I really want to talk about is as you develop your business and as revenue increases and as, your options increase, those options can actually present a pretty profound problem for a lot of people if they're not prepared or if they haven't thought through it in advance. Okay. Because this is something that you want to be prepared for. A lot of people think, well, I'll deal with these types of problems when I get there. The problem is that that's too late. You're then in the thick of it and you don't necessarily know how to process the information properly and are probably going to make some poor choices and therefore have to loop back and kind of start all over again, right? So what I want to do with you today is just share two simple concepts. It's simple, but not necessarily easy, right? So let's get into it. And I think you'll have some good takeaways today. So let's jump right in. So why success can kill your business faster than anything else. Overextension and diversification. One of the things I've seen a lot is that as success comes, as revenue increases and all those things, like I was saying, your options are going to increase. Your exposure to more technology, people, opportunities are going to increase. And when you're first starting out and you're just scrappy and lean and you're just trying to make get a break for yourself, obviously you're going to kind of be in this mode of, I'm going to take every good opportunity that crosses my path. I can't afford to not do that. However, once you find flow and once you find your rate of increase growing and you found a lane, if you will, for your business and for your success path, one of the things that's really going to hit you is the fact that, man, I have so many other good ideas being thrown at me, again, whether it be people, opportunities, events, investments, et cetera, et cetera. The key here is to stay focused, right? One of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs, people think focus means saying yes to the thing that you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are there. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually proud of the things we haven't done as the things that I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. Now, I want to underline a part. It's saying no to a lot of good ideas. That's the challenge, my friends, is that you will be presented with, wow, we could make so much money there, or wow, we could make such a great impact in our market here, or wow, we could expand over to this market, or we could, develop this new thing. Yes, you could, but just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? I'm all about growth and I'm all about, expanding and finding new opportunities. But I will say, and I know this is, cliche in the entrepreneurial world, but we have to watch out for that shiny object syndrome, right? So how do we define what, good opportunities we do take and which ones we don't, right? We can't just put the blinders on and say no to everything and just think that, we're just going to stick with what we're doing for the rest of our lives. In fact, that's something that I'll be talking about next in complacency. So we're going to talk about these two different sides of the coin here, because here you've got, over diversification. You've got people being highly distracted. And so kind of an analogy I use a lot with our clients is we really got to think laser, not flashlight. You can take the same amount of power and effort from a flashlight. If you narrow that down to a pinhead size beam, it can cut through metal. Right. So it's the same amount of effort, but the output that you get, the results or the power that stems from that becomes exceptionally or extensively more powerful when you narrow it in. And that's where we really want to be careful is we don't want to just diffuse our efforts across a lot of different areas because it just simply, we won't be impactful. And another key thing to understand here is that, some people, let's use social media, for example. All right. This is an easy one that everybody will get. You're really good on video. And so you naturally start some YouTube channel and you're promoting your personal brand or your business or whatever it may be. Right. And you're finding some traction there. You go, great. This is awesome. Starting to build some subscriberships, getting a following, building a name for ourselves. Well, naturally, it makes the most sense. We should jump over and do this on another platform and then another platform and then another platform, right? And you see, these people with like 50 different social media platforms, right? Well, now, can you do that? Of course you can. Can you have a team do this for you? Absolutely. Am I saying that you shouldn't do this? No, not necessarily. But the point is true that dominate one first before you go start trying to expand outside of your lane, because you have to remember there are people that are just living and breathing that one channel or that one thing. And that's kind of my point here is that as soon as you start to diversify yourself, you only have so many energy units, if you will, right? You only have so many hours in the day. And so if you start to diffuse that across a lot of different things, you are now competing against people that spend 100% of their energy, 100% of their time in that one particular lane. And so it becomes harder and harder to compete against people that are spending all of their time and focus in one particular area versus where if we distribute our energy and effort, time and money across a lot of different areas, you can see how that could potentially not be as competitive, right? Pretty straightforward concept, but it's one that's it's a simple concept, but one that's very difficult to do, especially as, again, you see the money increasing, you have the opportunities, right? What is money? Money is opportunity tickets. That's all it is, right? It expands your options. And so as soon as you start being exposed to these things, especially depending on your paradigm and how you think about money, how you think about opportunity, the scarcity effect can really kick in because you're not used to saying no to good ideas. It can be very challenging. And so you want to get really crystal clear on what do I stand for? What will I say yes to or no to, right? I'll give you one example and then we'll move on to the next topic as we close out here. As my businesses continue to grow and as I found more and more success in different areas of business, I realized that there were some elements to owning and operating businesses that I didn't necessarily find as ideal as others. And one of them was the brick and mortar business, basically meaning, you need to establish headquarters, you need a ton of employees in this one particular area, all concentrated in one building, et cetera, right? Obviously, a lot of businesses run this way. That's totally fine. But what I found was that I wanted more autonomy. I wanted to be able to move around easier. And so one of my mantras or pillars of filtering good ideas and whether I want to even look at them or not is the distinction of, can I run and operate this business with a laptop and Wi-Fi? Meaning, can I do this on a remote basis? If I can't, or if I can't figure out a business strategy that will allow me to have other people run it in that fashion, allow me to maintain that flexibility and mobility, then I just simply say no. No matter how good of an offer it is, no matter how big of an opportunity it is, the chances of me taking that are very, very low, if not zero, simply because it doesn't fit in line with my core pillars of decision-making, which is, can I operate this business on a remote basis? And that's allowed me to make quicker decisions and feel really good about it. Being able to say, yeah, that is awesome. And wow, that is an amazing opportunity, but it just doesn't simply align with my methodology or strategy for going forward, the vision for how I want to operate as a business owner, right? Now, again, I'm not suggesting that that's the one that you should take either, but the point is that you want to have premeditated concepts as to what you will say yes to and what you'll say no to. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. And so you really want to be clear on what is it that you stand for? What are you willing to say no to, even when it does present an excellent opportunity, whether it might maybe financially or otherwise. You need to be okay with the idea that, hey, look, that is an amazing mountain to climb and the view must be really good on top, but I can't go up that one because I'm over here climbing this one that I've committed to. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs will fail because they'll get halfway up the mountain, then they'll get distracted by the view and they'll realize, wait a second, those people over there have something pretty cool too, right? It's that whole, grass is greener on the other side concept. Again, these things are not, massive revelations here, but it's a really important reminder, because when you're in the thick of it, like I was saying at the top of our call here, it's very easy to get distracted. You're like, whoa, this is awesome. And you're riding a high, you're finding that success in the marketplace and in your business. And someone presents a really awesome opportunity. You feel like honored. You feel like, wow, this is amazing. Look at all these cool things that are now being presented to me that I've never had access to before, right? It can be very, very challenging. And so just be aware of the idea that saying yes to good ideas can actually be a downfall in your success trajectory. All right. Now let's very quickly flip the coin on this one. We've already talked about the importance of being focused and be wary of, a lot of good opportunities and change, right? Now let's flip the coin though. Complacency in innovation. This is another area where, as people do find success, as they are finding a path forward and they're starting to realize the benefits of their hard effort, one of the things that can really kick in is the feelings of security and needing to go, nope, this is what's working. This is how it's always worked. We found a good way, and I don't want to risk breaking anything. They kind of get into a shell, and they're not willing to step outside of their comfort zone. And they, when you're lean and mean, you have essentially nothing to lose. What do? You're just out there in the marketplace, taking swings, taking shots. You're doing whatever you can, figuring out as you go, right? But as you have more and more to lose, more people, more infrastructure, more revenue at stake, all the things that go along with success, you now have a lot more on the table that is at risk. And that can paralyze people into making, into like an analysis paralysis situation where they're taking long times to make decisions, or they just simply decide not to decide, which, as you and I both know, is essentially another decision, right? So success can lead to complacency, where entrepreneurs become less inclined to innovate. Rapid success may take entrepreneurs to a place where they lose that hunger and agility that drove the initial success. So one of the things to remember here is that what got you here, what got you to this initial level of success that you are now experiencing, may not be the same strategies and tactics that will get you to the next level. All right. So I say it all the time to our clients, what got you here very likely won't get you there. And so new levels, new areas of success are going to take new thinking and new processes. So we really have to be aware of the need for staying agile. Even once we have kind of found our way, it's important to understand that markets mature, things change. The general, macro economy even is it's a cyclical environment, right? It's constantly in change. There's nothing ever static. So playing it safe can be one of the quickest ways to fail, because nothing is static. And so if you're sitting still, the rest of your environment is continually moving. And so everything has atrophy effect. Everything eventually will lose its potency in the marketplace. A really cool quote I heard from one of our chamber members yesterday on our weekly calls that we do. He said, a tactic known is a tactic blown. And where this really was standing out, why this came up, was we were talking about how, right now on LinkedIn, I mean, all of us are getting hit by 10, 20, 30, 50 or more messages per day with a very similar outreach approach. And it's very obvious that it's, just essentially mass marketing spam, and they're trying to get, conversations started in the inbox, et cetera, et cetera. And the approaches are very templatized, very static and plain and obvious, essentially. And so this is a perfect example of like, hey, yeah, maybe like 2 years ago that could have potentially worked, but now it's so oversaturated. The market has matured beyond that it's no longer effective. Everything has an atrophy effect that will eventually start having a diminishing returns on effort and diminishing returns on time and money. And so you just want to be aware of that and be open to the idea of like, hey, yeah, we did get here, but we are now on a new level, and we need to consider what new things do we need to embrace in order to take us to the next level, right? Charles Darwin, let's go way back on this one. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And that, my friends, is really where we can wrap it up. We must be responsive to change, both proactive and reactive. We need to be able to adjust and pivot when needed, but we also can't be complacent. We have to be open to the idea that, hey, look, I'm here today based on what I did yesterday, but what I do today is going to have to change if I want to reach somewhere I've never been before, right? So again, no grand revelations here, my friends, today, some basic concepts, but oftentimes we don't necessarily need to learn new things. We need to be reminded of what we already know, right? So blessings to you in your life and your business. I hope that this finds you successful and reaching those next goals. Just remember, don't diffuse your efforts, stay focused, and we're here for you. We look forward to jamming with you on another session of TWC Talks. We'll see you in another episode. Take care, my friends. Talk to you soon.